You remember when you got her? You had hours and hours to just drive and dream. You spent your Saturdays fixing whatever needed fixing just to keep her running right. 20 years later, isn't it time you two got reacquainted? When you're ready, we're here. Because at LMC Truck, we know that while time may have passed, your passion for her never faded. Get her back on the road where she and you belong.
Now you're watching Gearz, brought to you by LMC Truck. Keep 'em on the road. All across America, in thousands of garages, carports, and backyards, there sits a project that has become hindered, stalled, or halted by the lack of time, money, or expertise by the owner. Sometimes the project is so lopsided that the owner just needs to sell it and start over. Other times, all it needs is a kickstart to get it moving in the right direction again. That's where we come in. Gearz on the Road is brought to you by LMC Truck. Keep 'em on the road.
Today's On the Road visit took us into the garage of Derek Capello, who decided to tackle his first ground-up restoration. His subject? An 86 Chevy short bed that he managed to pick up for $1,500. Now, if that's not a great start, I don't know what is. Okay, tell me about the truck. You've had it, what, 2 months?
I bought it about 2 months ago.
Okay.
With no engine transmission, and had a 4-speed transmission actually in it.
Okay.
That I did not want, so I've got to address some things there. But I really have always liked these square body Chevys. I've always been a Chevy guy.
Yeah.
I think it's partly because my grandfather used to sell Chevrolet when I was a kid, and he would take me up to the dealership that he worked at for years and years. And so I just grew up looking at Chevy cars.
Now, usually a $1,500 truck is a rusty mess. Not so with this one. The bed is amazingly solid, as is the front sheet metal and the floors.
The only rust it has is one of the cab corners has about a dime size.
Okay.
A part of rust on it. Underneath, it's really good and clean. I got up underneath it when I had it on the trailer, when I brought it home and pressure washed it.
Yeah.
Got it good and clean to make sure and see where I was starting from.
Fortunately, Derek has enough garage space to do this kind of project, and although he doesn't have a lot of tools, he keeps those and his workbench well organized, which is extremely important when you take on a project of this size. To help keep costs down, Derek not only picked up a spare parts truck, but also has hunted down extra parts that might come in handy during the process.
This is all parts I pulled off of the donor truck engine transmission that I'm going to use. As I pulled it off, I tried to clean it up a little bit and just kind of store it so that way whenever I was ready to start reassembling, I kind of knew where everything was.
Yeah. So having the donor truck helped a lot.
It did, because the truck I bought didn't have an engine transmission in it. So I kind of got it as a kind of a little bit of a basket case. So having the other one with everything on it kind of helps me understand where it came from and how it goes back in.
Okay. Now, usually when you hear somebody is doing a ground-up restoration, you visualize a long process, with the result being a pristine vehicle that only gets driven to car shows on Sunday. But that's not Derek's intent at all. He wants to enjoy it. The sooner the better.
First of all, I didn't want to buy a project and have it sitting in my garage for 2 or 3 years before I could roll it out and try to impress people. I really wanted to enjoy it. I want to enjoy it now. And so my goal was to get it done as quickly as I could, but still do some nice stuff to it. And I think that may even go back to whenever I was a kid and I would have to fix something on my car and then drive it to work the next day.
So, knowing Derek's plans, I could see there was one place we could help him out, and that was with the interior, since his was shot and he planned to change the color anyway. Okay, I remember you saying that you needed some interior parts, so I don't suppose you want to keep that original seat.
If I don't have to, there's a lot of blue going on in this truck.
Yeah.
A lot. And so when I saw the sky blue, I was thinking maybe a little different color might help in the interior.
Now you had mentioned black. You were trying to go in black with the interior, completely black?
Sure.
So we hooked Derek up with a new black bench seat and a new black dash pad, both from LMC Truck. This will give him a good starting point on his new interior, and the black's gonna work well with whatever he decides to do with that exterior paint. Now, Derek hopes to have this thing up and running in a few months. And since his plans are to enjoy building and driving this thing, I can say he's probably gonna pull that off. And we're excited to see his progress posted on Gearz Nation. You may have heard the old saying, it's not the tools, it's how you use them. And while that might be true, a stronger statement might be, it's not the tools, it's where you put them. Because without tool storage, you're just gonna have a big mess. But storage is one thing. Having a toolbox that doubles as another tool itself, well, that would be really cool. But the only way to do that is you'd have to completely redesign the way a toolbox is made. Take a look.
Well, the Platinum series, we really designed it from the ground up. We had a lot of input from other people that this is what we had in the past and this is what we kind of want for this new design. To be able to basically change drawers from any location, to really make it customizable all around with the different configuration.
To make the box sturdy enough to act as a work table, capable of supporting hundreds of pounds of tools and parts, the inner framework was built out of 14-gauge steel and welded together to form a type of unibody chassis that's extremely rigid and solid.
We just don't put one roll cage in there, we put 3 roll cages in there. And we tie all those roll cages together with these inner walls we call false ends. So basically it's one solid structure that does not move.
Massive storage space is possible with redesigned drawers that can be rearranged however you want them, and special latches make sure the drawers stay closed until you need to open them.
Our engineering team really pays attention to the details, and they came up with a method of assembling the drawers that the folds and the bends, and again, I'm not a technical guy, are minimized to the point that you actually maximize the vertical storage on any given drawer.
With heavy-duty rollers on each side, the drawers are strong enough to support hundreds of pounds with no damage or deflection. Wow. And the base of the box is solid enough that it won't rock or tip over, even with multiple drawers open. Try that with your bargain box.
Well, each drawer slide, the rating on those is 260 pounds apiece. So,
wow.
Yeah, so it is quite a heavy-duty slide. And we do have, some of the drawers we have double the amount of the 260 pounds of drawers.
Since electric tools are the norm these days, it was important to have plenty of power in the box. So one drawer has a bunch of outlets, and on top you have movable outlets to give you plenty of power options.
Well, first of all, the sheer explosion of rechargeable tools that have the torque and the power to do lug nuts and other work on the engine, where in the past they may not have had that power, has really led to a need to store them, to lock them up, and to protect them, and of course charge those batteries overnight or during the day. On the USB side, everybody has a cell phone. The batteries all run down during the day. They would need a place to dock that. So USBs are becoming a required part of being a repair technician. You need to have the outlets to charge things up.
Of course, mobility is a must, so heavy-duty casters were used to handle the weight and abuse that toolboxes are subjected to. Powder coating keeps it all looking good, and a digital lock keeps everything secure. No more keys. Now, obviously, the Cornwell Platinum Series box is not light. So you can't just pick it up and toss it into your pickup. But that's not what it was designed for. It was designed to be a toolbox. It was designed to be a workstation. It was designed to be a fabrication table. It was designed to be a power source. It was designed to be a step ladder. Matter of fact, it's something that's so strong that you can put your vehicle up on top of it and not have any damage. And to prove that, we took 9,000 pounds of Sergeant rock and set it on top of 4 Platinum Series boxes, and they didn't budge. And all the drawers still worked perfectly. Try that with a conventional toolbox, and you'll end up with a pile of scrap metal with drawers that won't open. Because anything other than a Cornwell Platinum Series box is just a box, not a tool box. If you've been involved in the building or the restoration of a car or truck, you know that sometimes things just don't go as planned, man. It just happens. It happens to everybody. And when it does happen, you got a choice. You either give up or you move forward. For example, we sent the Cheetah away a while back to get it painted. But unfortunately, the shop that was doing it hit some hard times and they went out of business, leaving it half done. But if you've learned anything from this show, you know we don't show you how to give up. We show you how to keep moving forward. So we hooked up with the guys at Sparkburn Hot Rods in Kansas City to have them finish up the paint and body of the Cheetah. Check it out. Sparkburn Hot Rods was founded by James Miller to be a full-service hot rod shop that specializes in everything from restoration work to full custom builds.
The goal is really high-end quality hot rod builds from the ground up and restorations, but a long-term goal of ours has actually been able to also develop the next generation.
The goal was to not only have them finish up the paint and body work, but to also add a few changes that I'd come up with. The fitting of the doors and windows was a must, and they were close, but they still needed some final gapping and finessing. So this one's adjusted out pretty much. See, it's not hitting the body. So it's pretty close. And I'll send you all the weather stripping so you can adjust it. And even though James is a metal guy, he's just as much at home working with fiberglass.
So you can see it actually looks pretty good. You know, it's a nice kind of flush mount, but you can see you'll have to true up the
all the edges and everything, get it tight.
Steel, does it matter?
No, I don't have a preference as far as what they're made out of. I think at the end of the day, a bolt's a bolt, fiberglass is fiberglass, steel's steel.
Still has to be smoothed down.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly.
The lower hood sides on a Cheetah always made opening the hood awkward since the hood tucks down under the body. So we cut those off to match the lower body line. Now this will require the fabrication of a custom panel to finish off the lower body. And a simple template lays out how it should look. Yeah, if you want to come in, build some sort of a bulge that kind of covers this, based off of this cover, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we can do that.
And you could come up like this, or you could come straight out. The small center stripe will remain in the paint scheme as planned, but what will change is the color. Instead of Axalta's Beyond Bronze, we're changing it to Axalta's Blue Moon CFX Candy Base Coat. That, along with the pearl white stripe, will be absolutely stunning on this car.
See, I mean, it looks dark, but see, now once you see when the light hits it?
Yeah, no, that's nice. The color that it's going, I would agree with you that that is the color that it should be. I mean, it stands out.
Yeah.
It'll be bold.
The best part is, in a couple of months, James said he'll have the car back here with the new paint on it, ready for me to finish it up, which is going to work perfectly with the timeline I've got going with the SR71. So, once again, the Cheetah is moving forward.
And now, Parts Bin.
Everybody knows that the cancer to most vehicles is rust. That's why you want to do everything you can to keep it from happening. The problem with most traditional undercoats, though, is that they crack and peel over time, which allows air and moisture to get down to the metal, and you got rust. Well, NH Oil Undercoatings has got a whole different approach here because they have an oil-based undercoating. They've got it in black, they've got it in clear, they've got it in aerosols. So basically, you just spray this on right over the top of rust, right over the top of paint, right over the top of traditional undercoating, and it creates a barrier that seals out the water in the air and prevents rust. And that coating's not going to chip, it's not going to crack, and it's not going to allow rust to start. Even if it gets wiped or smeared, you can see that there is still protection of that oil on that metal. Now, another cool thing about this oil is it's got a creeping action that allows it to creep into the nooks and crannies of cross members and body parts and prevent rust there. Matter of fact, they say that this stuff will creep up to 7 inches, and that's a lot of traveling, which is good because, as you know, rust travels. So if you're serious about dealing with your rust and putting on an undercoating, you might need to change to oil, as in NH oil undercoatings. If you're into diesel engines, you are probably familiar with PPE and all of the stuff that they've got to make your Ford, Chevy, or Dodge diesel run better. For example, you can start simple with billet aluminum pulleys and accessories, or you can step up to things like high-capacity aluminum oil pans that not only give you more oil capacity, but also dissipate heat better and ultimately give you better lubrication to the engine. If you want to go deeper than that, how about these high-flowing exhaust manifolds for the Duramax? Now, these will not only outflow your stock exhaust, but with the ceramic coating, they're going to look good for a long time. And they come with the up pipes with the bigger bellows, the bigger diameter pipe, and the huge flanges. So this will outflow your stock up pipe by about 50%. Of course, it comes with all the brackets and hardware and gaskets that you're going to need to put it in. So if you want your diesel to run better, you better talk to PPE. There's no question that heat is the enemy of all the major components on a vehicle, from the rear end to the transmission to the engine, power steering, all that stuff. So adding a cooler to those components is always a good idea. And Duraley has a whole line of ram air style fluid coolers to choose from. Check it out. If you're on a budget, something like the 6000 and 7000 series tube and fin cooler will work great for you. If you want to step up to the next, it's the 8000 and 9000 series. This is an OEM style plate and fin cooler. And then if you want to step up to the really good stuff, you have the 10,000 series stacked plate cooler. And of course, you can get these in all kinds of different sizes to fit your application. But Duraley's not just about square coolers. They also have these heatsink style round coolers for mounting down on a frame rail or on a body panel when you don't have room to put something up there by your radiator. So as you can see, keeping things cool is not hard as long as you keep Duraley involved. If you're running an LS1, 2, or 6 engine, an LS7, or the current LT1 engine and you want to get more power out of them, well, you need to check out these intake manifolds from MSD called the Atomic Air Force. Now, as you can see, they are a two-piece design. They got big direct flow runners to give you more airflow and more volume. They have larger throttle body bores, so you can put on a larger throttle body, and of course they're 50 state legal, so you're going to pass emissions with them. But the big thing is they're going to give you more power. Now, you can use your stock fuel rails with these, or MSD has a fuel rail system to go with them. These have a 5/8 inch passage, so you can get some big fuel going through there. It's machined for O-ring fittings, and it comes with all the hardware, brackets, and adapters that you're going to need. It doesn't take a lot to get great power out of an LS or an LT engine. MSD proves that with these Atomic Air Force intake manifolds. If you're driving an 11 through 17 Mustang GT, Flowtech has a way for you to get more power and more sound out of it without breaking the bank with these axle back exhaust systems for the Mustang. For example, for the 11 through 14 Mustang, they have this system with a 2.5 inch stainless steel tubing, a high flow muffler, and polished stainless steel tips. For the 15 through 17 Mustang, they have a similar system, but it has 3-inch stainless steel tubing flowing through chambered mufflers and then out through polished stainless steel tips. The best part is, these are designed to slide right in place of your OEM exhaust using the OEM hangers. So there's no fabrication, there's no welding on your part. You just bolt it in and you start enjoying the sound and the performance that Flowtech is so famous for.
And now, what are you working on? Brought to you by Scalextric. Own the track.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Chad McCants from Iowa, and his project is a '71 Ford Bronco. Yeah, one of my favorite vehicles. Now he says he and his dad are Ford guys, have been their whole lives, and he and his dad have done a lot of projects together over the years. But now his dad is in a nursing home. So Chad said he wanted a project that he and his dad could work on together when his dad was visiting from the nursing home. So he picked himself up a Ford Bronco. He said, unfortunately though, he picked it up before he realized how rusty it was. Check this out. So he said he realized he did not have the skills to rebuild the body, so he said the heck with it. He just got himself a replacement body. A wise thing to do. So for an engine, Chad always liked the look of dual quads. So he got a Blueprint Engines 408 stroker and he put Phytech's dual quad EFI system on it. That is going to be cool. Then he had his dad rebuild the axles with disc brakes and a limited slip, and then he put it all together with a Wild Horse's suspension and body lift. Now, as you can see, there's still a lot of things left to do, but the cool thing about this project is he still has his dad involved, and I guarantee you, Chad, that's keeping your dad young. So, to recognize such an awesome project, we hooked up with our buddies at Scale Electrics, and we're going to give you one of these race car sets so you and your dad can sit down and do some racing. Also, we're going to give you a couple of our Gearz t-shirts because you're obviously gearheads. Then we're going to set you up with one of our project planning books so you can keep track of everything you're doing to that Bronco and everything you plan to do to that Bronco. Then we're going to give you a copy of Wheel Hub magazine, give you some inspiration on what's going on in shops across the nation, and we're going to give you a gift card from LMC Truck because they carry all kinds of Ford Bronco parts. So that'll help you out with that. Finally, we're going to give you one of our Gearz tow trucks because everybody should have their own little Gearz tow truck. All right, for the rest of you guys, if you want to get in on this, get your vehicle featured on the show, you got to send it in to us. Go to the website, go to Gearz Nation, and submit it into what are you working on. The website's also the place to find out more information on any products you may have seen on the show, any Gearz merchandise, and how to join Gearz Nation so you can stream any of our episodes commercial free. Finally, don't forget to like us on Facebook so you can get some behind the scenes footage of our weekly web series, Shifting Gears. All right, that wraps it up for us today. The cool thing about Chad's project is he says that he was inspired to do that Bronco by seeing me build Crazy Horse a few years ago. Well, I was inspired to build Crazy Horse by seeing Parnelli Jones's Big Ole. So hopefully this inspires you to get out there and build something that inspires somebody else. We'll see you next time.